Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report Breathe In, Detroit. Because what I'm about to walk you through is the kind of chain reaction, rumor that can flip a franchise from dangerous to downright terrifying. You feel that tug in your chest? That's the sense that the NFC North just tightened its chin strap. Our rivals have been stockpiling speed and length on the edges, doubling down on the one thing that travels every week, violence at the line of scrimmage. And if the Lions are who we believe they are, if this city's grit is truly embedded in that locker room, then tonight's conversation isn't optional. It's necessary. Before we dive in, smash subscribe, tap the bell, and drop your take below, because we're turning whispers into a plan, and plans into pressure on every quarterback who thinks he can breathe in our division. Here's the thesis. Detroit needs one more apex predator to turn Aiden Hutchinson's relentless energy into a tidal wave. Not a rotational stopgap. Not a Band-Aid. A true bookend who can live outside in a wide nine, reduce inside on money downs, and strap offenses to a script they hate. And there's a one name that checks the boxes coaches dream about and cap guys can live with. We're going to build to it the right way. Profile first, fit second, cost last. Because if all three don't align, this is just noise. But if they do, the roar inside Ford Field is going to hit a new frequency. Start with the prototype. Think frame you can't teach and traits you only find in the first 5 picks of a draft. 6'5", 270 plus. Arms that steal throwing lanes, closing speed that erases bootlegs, and the torque to forklift guards who weren't hired to absorb that kind of power. Think a defender comfortable in multiple alignments, hand in the dirt at 5 tech on first down to set a hard edge. Then stand up outside on 3rd and long to threaten high side, counter inside, and make tackles open their hips too early. Add the run discipline that turns 2nd and 6 into 2nd and 9, and the motor that punishes quarterbacks who drift. You can scheme sacks. You can't fake knock dash back dot now. Plug that into Aaron Glenn's world. This defense is at its nastiest when it's dictating protection rules. Simulated pressures, creepers, bait and bail. Those hits land harder when the offense has to slide to 2 credible threats on the edges. Pair a long, explosive rusher with Hutchinson, and suddenly your 5-man surfaces become legal torture devices. You can tilt the front, force the center to declare, and isolate their weakest link. You can call Tay stunts that rip open the B-gap for Allen McNeil to ruin somebody's Sunday. The coverage gets simpler because the clock on the quarterback gets shorter. 3rd and 7 turns into get it out now, and get it out now turns into tips, robber picks, and short fields for Ben Johnson. Culture matters as much as cut-up tape. Dan Campbell doesn't hand out hats for highlight reels. He rewards Tuesday workers. The next piece has to be a guy who likes the sled tire and the film room loud, a guy who treats technique like an obsession. That's why this isn't a hunt for a famous name as much as it is a hunt for a certain mentality. Detroitness is repetition turned violent, baseline job, done perfectly, with bad intentions over and over until somebody taps. Find that in an elite body, and you're cooking with jet fuel. And yes, the contract window has to fit our arc. The beauty of the right target is controlled through 2026 thanks to the 5th year. Mechanism cap manageable next season. Leverage for an extension on our timeline, not a rental that forces all in cash and picks at once. This is a window play, not a one-game sugar high. You want a pass rusher who's already climbed from traits to production, who can slot day one into a 65 to 70%. Snap share and scale to 75% when the games get heavy without losing juice dots, so let's quit dancing and say it out loud. The Lions are circling Travon Walker. That's the rumor. That's the target. That's the prototype. Jacksonville's former No. 1 overall pick has leveled from flashes to force, stacking back-to-back double-digit sack seasons and proving he's more than a testing wonder. He's the rare edge who can compress a C gap against the run and then ruin your 3rd down plan with length, bend, and a mean inside counter when you overset. He lets Glenn call the defense he wants to call, not the one he can survive. Now picture Sundays with Walker opposite Hutchinson. 3rd and 8, Ford Field shaking, crowd riding the snap count. You tilt the front to Hutch's side, force the slide, and let Walker go eat one-on-one. They adjust. You swap Walker down as a firm 5 tech. Keep Hutchinson wide, spill zone into help, and force 2nd and long. You want sequencing? Sack, hurry, screen, tackle for loss, punt. That's not a highlight, it's a blueprint. And it feeds your offense. Shorter fields, more too high, easier answers for Jared Goff, patience without playing slow. Football is circular. A single possession stolen per week is a 1.5 on the scoreboard by New Year's. That's home field. That's January indoors with the dome eating sound. But what's the price? Ask it, because this is where grown-up teams separate themselves. You don't get apex traits on a rookie window contract for coupon codes. You do get creative with risk. The package that makes football sense and boardroom sense is this: a 2026 first rounder, a 2026 fourth, and a 2027 third that escalates to a second if Walker hits a reasonable production trigger or if Detroit reaches the NFC title game. You're paying for outcome, not just reputation. If Jacksonville wants sugar, you offer a late day 3 pick swap or light protection in 27 earnest without being reckless. That's contender behavior. Aggressive, not desperate. Why not shop cheaper? Because medium doesn't beat great quarterbacks. Because this division, even without naming names, is reintroducing pain off the edge every week. Because the delta between a solid rotational rusher and a true bookend is the delta between we hung around and we controlled the game script. Montez Sweat fetched a second as a rental. Brian Burns cost day 2 capital plus a mega extension. Walker is younger, ascending, and under team control. If you're going to spend real picks, spend them on a piece that redefines how you defend downs 1 to 10. Let's talk onboarding. The concern curve here isn't talent. It's assimilation. Detroit's edges think like hammers and surgeons, blow up the surface, then diagnose the escape route. You don't throw the entire menu at Walker on day 1. You stack it. Weeks 1 to 2, base rush rules, front mechanics, run fits. Weeks 3 to 4, third down packages, taste stunts, sim pressures. Post buy, red zone, 2-minute, opponent-specific wrinkles. The book on Walker is that he's a worker. If that's real, and the tape says it is, the menu is wide by Thanksgiving, right when the national cameras turn up the volume. Depth chart? Charles Harris-type roles become truer rotations, not acts of faith. Younger edges settle into snap counts that accentuate traits instead of exposing holes. Hutchinson's efficiency spikes because he's not playing hero ball every third down. Olam gets more clean wins because slides can't live inside forever. Your back 7 plays faster because the ball is out quicker. It's connectivity. One addition makes 10 guys better. Zoom out to the psychology. Making this move tells the division that Detroit is done negotiating with its past. It tells the locker room that management is meeting the moment. It tells quarterbacks across the NFC that the pocket won't be a place of rest. It'll be a shrinking room with a countdown clock. And it tells this fan base, this bruised, faithful, loud fan base, that last year's surge wasn't a cameo. It was the trailer. If you're feeling this blueprint, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Drop your trade framework in the comments. Would you mirror that 2026 heavy structure? Would you tie the escalator to sacks, snap share, or playoff advancement? And who loses snaps when Walker walks in? Do you live in more 5-man looks and steal from an off-ball backer? Or do you keep base integrity and cook on passing downs? Your call. Your team. Your city. There's one more layer. Contingency planning. If Jacksonville drags its feet or the market tries to squeeze, Detroit has to be willing to walk rather than overpay. That's not fear. That's leverage. But you don't even get to leverage without stepping into the ring. You make the call. You put a real number on the table. You force clarity. Are the Jags listening or moving? If they're listening, You keep the conversation contained two-team race, not a six-team auction where a January heavyweight jumps the line. If they're moving, you act with the urgency the room deserves. And let's be honest, this is personal. Detroit has been one piece short too many times. We've watched seasons tilt on one failed hurry, one clean pocket on third and forever, one quarterback who never felt our breath on his neck. If you believe, and I know you do, that this roster can carry January weight, then adding a bookend is not extravagance. It's alignment. It's looking Hutchinson in the eyes and saying, "We're not asking you to be Batman and Robin. We're giving you Batman and Batman." So here's where I land. And you can roast me in the comments if you want. If the package is a 2026 first, a 2026 fourth, and a 2027 third that climbs to a second on honest triggers, I pull it. Today, I walk into that locker room and I tell the defense, we just turned pressure into identity. I walk into the offensive room and say, your fields just got shorter. And I walk into the division with shoulders square because we're not reacting to an arms race. We're setting the terms. Nothing is official. No graphics, no pressers, no pen to paper. It's a rumor with legs, a target with logic, and a move that fits the city's heartbeat. But this is Detroit. We don't wait for permission to believe. We build the path and make everyone else follow. So tell me, Lions Nation, do you ring the Jags tonight and put that 2026 capital on the table? Do you bet on a prototype who's already cashing his traits into production and let Hutchinson hunt with a twin? Or do you stand pat and hope good enough becomes great when the lights hit January? Drop your answer. Share this with every friend who bleeds Honolulu blue and keep it locked here. Because if Travon Walker puts on that helmet with the leaping lion, the sound you hear next will be the entire NFC North turning down the volume just to think straight.